So by now, I should have responded to all of your 5-page drafts. I think the only one I didn't get to yet was Auden's. Sorry, Auden, but I think you're probably in pretty good shape. I'll take a look at it after this.
I
Um,
I really did not do anything for the 5-page draft, but I did do a lot for the 7-page draft. So
okay, cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you submitted the 5-page draft, you should have comments from me, or I think for a couple of you either emailed me or we spoke over through Zoom and like office hours. So you should all have gotten feedback on that. Check it out. It should be very helpful to you. Most of the stuff I saw was pretty like structurally oriented. And the thing I want to say real fast is make sure for your papers that you're privileging your analysis of certain images or certain visual materials more than your secondaries. So your secondaries are important. Your secondaries are what help support your interpretations of certain things. But if you're going to, I'll talk about an example that Audrey and I talked about yesterday. If you bring up an ad from, say, like Grubhub, and you're talking about how the ad projects laziness and encourages laziness, then maybe in the second paragraph, you'll talk about like how certain studies or certain articles back up this interpretation that, Grubhub makes people lazier or food delivery apps make people lazier or whatever it is. But I want to make sure that you're fully analyzing your actual images and ads and stuff and not just kind of describing them real fast, summarizing them, and then moving on to describing your secondary sources. By and large, there should be an analysis of those ads, almost like what we did for the first paper. It's a little bit more in-depth than that. But I want to make sure that I know that you know all the research behind your topic. I know that you've researched whether it be politics or alcohol advertising or graffiti or whatever it may be. I know you've got all that down. What I want to see is how you apply that knowledge that you've found to images that you've also found. So like, how do you interpret certain things in light of what you've researched? So that's my big push for you all is make sure you're spending an adequate amount of time analyzing those ads. 2 paragraphs per ad or per image should be pretty good. Per commercial, I think for some of you are doing like political commercials, and that's probably fine. If you look back to your first paper, you wrote 3 to 4 pages on just one image itself, or in some cases for some of you, maybe 2 images. So writing 7 pages for 2 to 3 images shouldn't be too bad for you. I just want to make sure that you're actually showing that kind of analytical work and that you're not just summarizing the research you've done, that you know how to apply it to actual analysis and argumentation of that analysis. So most people are doing that, but I want to kind of emphasize that point just to make sure that everyone's headed in the right direction and no one kind of is veering off into like the territory of just like summarizing everything. That's basic kind of high school level stuff. Now I want to see how you can kind of go past to the next level. So today's class is not going to be super long. I want to quickly go over your oral presentation requirements. I posted those to Canvas, so you should be able to see them now. And I want to go over what the assignment is for this weekend. It's not going to be due until at the end of the weekend, really. And I say due, I would like for you to do this. I think it'll be helpful for you and for your classmates as well, especially when you see what it is. But this is not just meant for you to get feedback on your papers. It's also meant for you to learn how to diagnose and analyze your own writing issues or someone else's writing issues on your own. It's one thing for me to, I'll leave it this person real fast. It's one thing for me to sit here and tell you like, oh, this paragraph could use this, this, and this, or it's doing this well. But you need to be at the point where I want to get you to the point where you can look at your own writing or someone else's writing, and you can do that for yourself. You're already on the way there. A number of you know how to look at a thesis statement and say, hey, that's a really good thesis statement, or hey, I think you should make it more specific or more arguable. But now I want to get you to the point where you can start to do that on the level of a whole paper, of a whole long research paper, instead of just like these tiny kind of like sentence level or paragraph level moments. So this exercise we're going to do over the weekend will help with that. And it'll put you in a good position going into next week when you need to start having your conference drafts. Which reminds me, if you haven't signed up for a conference draft, make sure you do so as soon as possible. And if none of those times work for you, make sure you email me to let me know so we can set up some other time. I think most people have signed up, but I just want to make sure that everyone's taken care of. Because if you don't sign up, that counts as like a doc letter grade for your final paper. And I don't want that to happen to anyone because it's an easy letter grade to get. So make sure you do that. If you have any questions or problems, let me know. I'll be happy to help you out with that. But I do want to make sure that people sign up for those conference times before we start a week from today. We start conferences a week from today. It's really, really exciting and terrifying. Cool. So what I now want to do is quickly go over these oral presentation guidelines and make sure you have the opportunity to ask any questions you might have. So oral presentation instructions. So I think the first thing I want to emphasize with this is I want to get creative with this. I want you to be comfortable with this. This shouldn't be a really stressful assignment for you. This should be a chance for you to take something that you're interested in and really, let me let this person in, take something you're interested in and share it with the rest of the class. So what I would like for you to do is create an independent presentation of 4 to 5 minutes in which you analyze one image that is not in your research paper, but is either from your group's visual board or another image that you found in the, oh, that's typo there, that you found in the course of your research that you couldn't include in your paper for whatever reason. So for example, let's say you're looking at political cartoons about healthcare and you found 2 you want to talk about, but you found a 3rd one that you just didn't have time to talk about. This would be the chance to bring in that other image that you weren't able to talk about and show it to the class and analyze it for the class. So it can't be one that's in your research paper, but it can be one that either maybe someone else in your group found, they put in the visual board, or something that you found in your own research. That's fine. I just don't want it to be something that you've already really written about and analyzed before. I'm also allowing you to collaborate with one other group member for a joint presentation, but the length in that case will be like 7 to 8 minutes with both members speaking for a relatively equal amount of time. So, if you want to work with someone else in this, I'm not going to allow groups of more than 2, but if you want to work with someone else in this, that's fine. You'll analyze the same image or maybe even 2 different images if you want to. You can work together, but you do need to both speak for the same amount of time. It can't be like one person talking the majority of the time while someone else just kind of sits there. You'll each incorporate the background knowledge you've gained from your research paper process to your analysis of this particular image. In the presentation, tell us about the image, who created it, for what purpose, when. Analyze the image and then place it in the context of your own research interest, whether it's social, economic, psychological, gender, race, whatever it might be that you research. Put it in the context of that topic. Some information will overlap. Like I know I've got people who are, 2 different people who are researching alcohol ads in terms of gender, and one's focusing more on how it affects women, one's focusing more on how it affects men. Their research and their presentations are probably going to overlap a little bit, but that's okay. I expect that to happen, especially with the topic clusters kind of limited in the way they are. That's okay, as long as you're not doing the exact same image as someone else and not doing the exact same analytical framework as someone else, you'll be fine. We'll present these to the class during our last 2 class meetings. While I prefer that you do the presentation live, you may also choose to record yourself beforehand and share the video during class instead. I'd recommend you do this if you're worried your internet may be unreliable, as you can submit the video if something goes wrong. So basically what you'll do is you'll have to record yourself presenting this video to the class, either through a YouTube link or whatever. I can share it through my screen, but then you will take like a minute or 2 at the end of that presentation to answer questions that you might have from your classmates. For those last 2 class meetings, I will create a sign up for who wants to go when, if people think they can handle that, if people think that they can choose a time that's appropriate for them to sign up. If people don't want to sign up or everyone signs up for the last day, then I might need to jump in and say like, okay, well, I really need someone to go this first day, so you go here, you go here. Otherwise, I'll let you kind of choose when you want to go and what time slot, stuff like that. So the tone for this, unlike for your research paper, where your research paper is going to be very kind of academic, very formal in tone, the tone for your presentation is going to be more informal. So this is for your peers in the classroom. This is for me. Be as creative as you want to be. You can use hooks. You can be funny. You can use targeted diction or slang. I don't care. The main requirements are that you use clear visual aids and earn our respect through your background knowledge, keen observational skills, and carefully rehearsed analysis. All of you have done lots and lots of research. You're all pretty good authorities on the topic that you're researching, so I have no worries about that. Now it's just presenting that information to the class. You'll do this oral presentation on your own, but you'll be examining your topic consecutively. In other words, everyone in the graffiti group will present before we move on to the next topic. I put that there in case I need to jump in myself and start arranging when people are going to present for me. So I might say like, oh, well, if you all can't decide, I'll have graffiti go this day and food go this day and alcohol and politics go this day. I'd rather not get into that, but if I need to, then we'll just do it like by topic cluster, just kind of make it easier for everyone. So time length is 5 minutes per person. Once everyone is presented, we'll take 2 to 3 minutes for a quick Q&A, which will be about a question or 2. Your presentation cannot be a rehash of your paper. Just don't repeat the same exact thing back to me. Also, don't read from your paper. Read it live. Read it as though you're talking to me in a normal, casual conversation. It's okay if you stutter. It's okay if you say or like. It's okay with that. But if you just read it from your paper, it's just going to be kind of boring. It's not going to be very interesting to me. I want it to sound like you're just kind of presenting this to a room full of people who are interested in what you have to hear. You need a visual element, so your best bet is to make a PowerPoint presentation or a Prezi, whatever is most comfortable for you. Probably 2 to 3 slides. You can share your screen during the presentation. And practice your timing and stick to the allotted time. I'm not saying that you need to have it exactly at 5 minutes and you need to record yourself and time it out exactly, but you should have enough information. You should have to say that you know you'll be talking for about 5 minutes or so, and then taking a question or two towards the end. So be sure your presentation does more than address the explicit point of the ad. By this point, you should be able to dig deeper and connect the explicit visual to implicit arguments about gender, sex, consumerism, etc. I would rather not see any obvious interpretations. So if you're showing an ad with, you know, a woman in a bikini, don't just say like, "Oh, this is sexualizing the woman." Go a bit further and look at like what the implications are for that sexualization. Optional. This is the video method. Paste a picture on a PowerPoint slide and then record your voice or as you analyze it. This is basic instructions for if you want to record your video instead of presenting it live to the class in class, how you can use either a computer or a smartphone or whatever. Either way, if you record beforehand, you'll have to submit it to me before class that day. So that way I can have it pulled up for whenever you present. This is the rubric, pretty simple. An A presentation will do all these things. If you're missing any one of them, it's a B. Any 2 of them, it's a C. Any 3 of them, it's a D. Anything more than that is failing. I don't anticipate anyone to fail this. As long as you make sure that you hit on all these little bullet points here, you should be fine and good to go. This is not like a gotcha assignment. This is just meant for you to take what you've learned, take what you've researched, and apply it to something new, and then share that with the class. Because a lot of you are doing really interesting stuff, and I want the others in the class to see what you've been doing. So any questions for the oral presentation about either requirements or what you should be doing? I'll probably create like a sign-up page later on today or over the weekend, and I will let you all edit it so that way you can go in and pick times and slots for yourselves. If no one picks anything by like next Friday, then I'll have to probably jump in and be like, okay, well then we're just gonna do food this day and alcohol this day and et cetera, et cetera. But I wanna give you the chance to do that on your own first to see how that goes. Any questions about any of that? No? Cool. And like I said, there's instructions there on Canvas for you to look at later. Now let's quickly go over the assignment for this weekend. So some of you have already submitted your first full draft. In fact, about 7 of you have. That's great. That's about half of you. If the other half of you could do this, that'd be great because it only benefits you at this point to have your drafts in for others to be able to look at it. And now you're going to be kind of workshopping with each other. I'll still be looking in. I'll still be commenting if I notice any huge glaring issues like, oh no, you started talking about alcohol and you ended talking about opioids. I'll jump in and say something like that. But for now, I want you to kind of learn how to workshop your own paper and each other's. So I'm giving you the weekend to do this because I know some people have not submitted their 7-page draft yet, and that's okay. I don't want to rush them. But I also want to make sure that you have this kind of feedback before we get to Monday when we start doing some more workshopping and we start doing some more fine-tuning stuff in terms of what this paper is going to look like towards the end. So you'll post a research paper here as a reply, then exchange paper with a peer in your topic cluster. It doesn't have to be in a topic cluster, but if you can't find someone else to work with you or to exchange papers with, then I'm going to assign someone to you or assign you to someone, likely from your topic cluster, just to make it easier for me. So I'm trusting you all can kind of pair off on your own. If you can't, or if you don't know how to, or it's first come, first serve, let me know and I can find someone for you to exchange papers with. But I want to give you the chance to work with each other first. I would recommend not necessarily going for the person you're closest with, but go get feedback from someone whose opinion in the class you respect and admire and who you think has been doing some really good work. Friends are great, but friends can sometimes have a tendency to sugarcoat things and to not tell us what we need to hear. I know this from experience. But if you go to someone who you're like, hey, I really respect you, we're colleagues, but we're not super close friends, but I know that you'll tell me the truth about my writing, you'll probably get better feedback that way. Not mean feedback. This person is going to tell you, oh, this paper sucks, rewrite it. But hopefully they'll say, hey, you're doing this really well. Now I think you should work on this. And then you can also tell them, hey, I really love this paragraph that you're working on. I don't see what the point of this thing is over here. So again, I'm trusting you all can do that on your own. If I notice by like Saturday that this isn't working out, then I'll just kind of assign people so that way I don't have to worry about people missing out or not getting feedback or however. So first thing you'll do is you'll get this paper, you'll read through the paper very quickly without pausing to comment on anything, just read it through. On a Word document, write down what you think is your peer's thesis statement, highlight or bold the keywords in the thesis statement that you believe the paper will address. Now look over each body paragraph and write in one sentence what you think is the function of each paragraph. For example, this paragraph gives the history of graffiti. This paragraph gives the statistics for addiction in the past decade to illustrate a growing problem, etc., etc. If there's a sentence or two that doesn't fulfill the function of the paragraph, paste it in your Word document and underline it. If several paragraphs seem to have the same function, remind your peer that each paragraph should offer a slightly different point. And, very important, look back at the keywords in the thesis to see if the paragraph seemed to be addressing those terms. If not, deliver the bad news kindly. Because we don't want people kind of going off topic or going off on their own little tangents. Let them know like, hey, this paragraph's really well written. It has nothing to do with your paper. You probably need to cut it out. Finally, paste any one of your peers' body paragraphs in your Word document and identify some local revision issues such as usage errors, wordiness, problems with embedding quotes correctly. You shouldn't correct the problems, but merely highlight them and use either my color key above or your own as long as your peer understands your color-coded key. Chapter 10 and So What will help you identify the errors. Basically, you can also use either style or easy writer, but just for one paragraph, say, hey, check your comma rules or check how you do commas, check for comma splices, check for this or that. I don't want you to do a grammatical correction of the entire paper because that would waste your time, but just notice any big issues in one paragraph and point those out, and they can apply those to the rest of their paper. So essentially what we're doing here is what we've been doing the past couple weeks when I've pulled up your papers, where I've asked people, hey, what's the point of this paragraph? Why do you put this paragraph here? Why did you put this paragraph after this paragraph? Now you're doing that on your own. I just broke it up into a slightly easier to understand kind of process. So this whole thing should not take you longer than like 30, 40 minutes or so, which is basically about the course of a class time. You're not leaving super detailed notes or comments like I usually do. You're just kind of trying to see, how is the person's paper working? Are the paragraphs doing what they think they're supposed to be doing? Is there anything in the paper that shouldn't be in the paper? And how can you help them organize their paper or restructure their paper in such a way that is best for them? So you will either email your feedback to your peer or respond to them in this post here, whatever is more convenient for you, by Monday. I think it's important for your peers to have their feedback as soon as possible. So that way, if they want to start making those revisions, they absolutely can as soon as possible. So that way they can kind of get out the way. I know a lot of you are dealing with other finals coming up and other classes who have other assignments. So the sooner you get feedback from your peers, the better it'll be for you in the long run, so that you can start working on your conference drafts. That way you can get your conference draft in and then not worry about that until you get feedback from me during your conference. Any questions about this or any questions about what you'll be doing over the weekend? If you don't submit your draft to this, that's fine. You just won't get the feedback that you should be getting on this stuff. So I won't penalize you, but at the same time, you won't be getting the feedback that could be really valuable to you in terms of working on this paper and kind of improving it as you go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 have submitted theirs so far. If you just kind of want to like take it down the row where like, like Jackie reads Ryan's and Ryan's reads Audin's, et cetera, you can do it that way. Whatever's more comfortable for you. But I do ask, I think whichever person's paper you're going to respond to, click reply so that way I know and everyone else knows that that paper is already taken. So let's say if Jackie's going to read Ryan's paper, she'll reply here saying, oh, I've got this one. And then Ryan, if she wants to respond to someone else's paper, she'll reply to theirs. Just keep track of who's doing what. No one should be commenting on more than one paper, and no one paper should be getting more than one person commenting on it. So if you go to comment on someone's paper and there's only one left, that's one that you've got to tackle for yourself. Any questions on this or anything that's confusing about this?
Are we replying via email to them, or are we replying via the comments section?
Whichever is easier for you. Email might be better if you're worried that you're afraid that you're maybe being too harsh, or that you're afraid that they may not want others to see the comments you're leaving on paper. So if you'd rather do email to have it be more private, that's totally fine. But if you think you'd be comfortable and they'd be comfortable with you just replying to it in this thread here, that's also okay.
Where can we see the comments you made on the 5-page draft?
Yes, so if you go to, you should be able to like go under your, let me see. If you go under your grades and then pull up the assignment, you should be able to see my comments next to the grade. Great. I guess say if it's complete or incomplete. I'll just pull this up real fast just to show you. So the way this looks like from my end is, no, it's not gonna let me do this now, is it? No, it's not. So basically go into your gradebook, click on the assignment for this one. So first 5 pages of the research paper. And if you click on that, you should be able to see if I put like complete or incomplete, and I likely put complete, and then any comments that I left for that paper.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it looks from student view, unfortunately, but basically, let me see if I can do it this way. I'll look at these. So basically, like whenever I go in, it's just like, so whenever I go in, I basically like change the grade from, oh, complete, incomplete, excused. And then all my comments go in here, unless I highlight certain sections and put it in here. But all my comments for this one should be in this little comment box here. So either look at your submission individually or through the gradebook. If you still have any issues with that, I can certainly copy and paste my comments and send them to you in an email. But see if it works this way first. Other questions, concerns? Everyone think they can do this? All right, well, that's all I've got for you all today. If you have any issues, shoot me an email. I will be looking out just to make sure that people are submitting drafts and commenting on drafts and letting people know what their feedback is. If I notice that someone doesn't have feedback by like Monday, I will work myself to kind of jump in there and give myself their own feedback. But I'd like for you all to do this yourself, just that way you can get the experience of diagnosing certain issues on your own. Just that way when you get to senior year and you're writing a 10, 12-page research paper and no one else has time to look over your paper, you can look over your own paper and be able to tell you yourself, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to take care of this. So this is a good practice for that. All right, we're almost there. Any last minute concerns, comments, Netflix recommendations?
Since next week is conference week, we don't have class like we normally do, right?
We do still have class Monday, Wednesday, but conferences start on Friday.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So when conferences start on Friday, we will not be having classes. Obviously, conferences will still be had over Zoom, but other than that, you're free. You can sleep in late, I guess, if this is your first class of the day. But yeah. So starting Friday, we won't have class for a week, and then we'll come back May 1st after conferences to start doing presentations. Oh, also, while I'm here, just because it's easier this way instead of making an announcement. You should all, I think, soon, I think on the 22nd, be getting your evaluations for this class. Either you do them through Canvas, or I'm not sure how the process is going these days. But basically, you'll go in and you'll evaluate this class and evaluate me as an instructor. I highly, highly encourage you to fill out these evaluations, regardless of whatever you have to say, either to me or to the administration or whatever, because these evaluations are really helpful for me, and I can't make the class better, and I can't make the class fit the students' needs if I don't know what I could be improving on. I know this semester has been a weird semester because of online classes or remote classes, however you want to define it. But if you have feedback on any of that stuff too, please let me know, because we don't know if we might be in the same situation next year around the same time or in the fall or whatever. It's very kind of up in the air right now. So if you have any kind of feedback either related to the online portion of this class or in-class discussions or anything like that, please let me know. If you're worried about like retaliation on my part, they're all completely anonymous. I'll never know who said what. And also, I will not even see these comments until like August. So by the time I even see these comments and I could guess like, oh, I think this person, I think Auden said that I suck. By that point, I can't do anything about it anyway. So I encourage you to do that. I hope you'll take the time to do that. It doesn't take longer than 5 minutes or so. But this is really valuable, not just for the school, but also for me as an instructor. And I take these really seriously. I take these to heart when I'm reading them. So that's my kind of push for that. I'll make an announcement again next week just to kind of remind everyone. But otherwise, that's all I've got to say. And you all are free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.